All right, TTP traders, we are back for week number 3 of the LCS stock market. Now, if you listened to my advice last week and you all in on Golden Guardians, you are raking in some good money, but we got to take those dubs with the losses that we experienced in week 1. So we'll temper our aggressions for this week. And just like the last two, we're going to cover the teams at the top, those at the bottom, the matchups in between, and I'll give you my go-to picks for who I think is going to be the 2-0 and the biggest bang for your buck. So let's start right off with the top team, Team Liquid, the only team at 2,000, just way too expensive for our taste right now. And honestly, Team Liquid is facing EG, so there is a chance that they drop a game. So it's not certain that this team is going to go 2-0. So we're going to stay away from that one for the price and for the likelihood that EG maybe wakes up and takes a win off of them. Then we go back to the bottom. This is the ugly place, CLG and TSM. Both of these teams don't have a single win, and we're not about to bet on the fact that they're going to find one this week. It's possible that they make a resurgence. It really is. But when you take a look at the strength of schedule for these teams, it is looking doom and gloom. We are going to wait one more week before we consider these guys. On CLG, $12.96. It's almost $800 cheaper than TL, but they're facing TL and they're also going to be facing off against Cloud9. We're going to pass on that one. And then TSM, I mean, this team looks ridiculously bad right now. I don't know what's going on with these guys, but this team needs to get a wake-up call. The experiment's clearly not working. We're still going to wait though to see if maybe the price is lower with a differing strength of schedule. They figure something out and we invest in them, because right now their schedule's also looking really rough. They've got Cloud9, we got IMT. Last week I told you IMT was a disaster. Don't invest in them, and they surged only because they dropped the, well, 100 Thieves dropped the game to Immortals, right? I didn't feel like Immortals won that game. It felt like 100 Thieves managed to beat them, and because 100 Thieves was at the top, then IMT got a lot of points off that one. But if you watch that game, IMT's losing the whole way through until for some reason 100 Thieves decides to force the most ridiculous fight, flashing into the mid lane with set, ult into 5 people, everybody dies, and in a single one team fight, IMT wins the game, right? They're losing all game, win one fight, end game. I still feel like 100 Thieves was winning in my heart, and I'm not going to put any money on IMT this week. But with that being said, we cover the top, cover the bottom. Let's go right into the thick of it with the first matchup, Golden Guardians against 100 Thieves. Golden Guardians was the go-to last week, and I think this week they could be that again, but they have to get over the hurdle of 100 Thieves, which honestly looks like a pretty easy hurdle right now. Dropping that game against IMT, dropping the games against Dignitas in the lock-in playoffs was so disappointing from this team. I think this is the one team at the top that really seems to drop games that they really shouldn't. So 100 Thieves, if they're gonna drop one, it could be here against Golden Guardians, and Golden Guardians is $1,600 right now, so quite cheap, $273 cheaper than 100 Thieves. If they can get past this one, they could get past Dignitas as well. So it's kind of close though. It's quite likely that Golden Guardians also goes 0-2, but for my pick, I'm gonna rebel. I'm not gonna trust 100 Thieves anymore. I'm gonna say Golden Guardians. They probably should be 4-0 right now if they didn't get cheesed in week 1. Maybe they'll be 5-0 in my mind here. Next up, IMT TSM. Honestly, IMT could actually win this. I didn't think that there would be a team worse than IMT when we saw the lock-in tournament, but luckily TSM shielded themselves from embarrassment by not fielding their full roster. And now that we've seen them, we know maybe why they didn't show them on that first tournament. I think IMT is gonna win this one. TSM just looks like a complete disaster. I need to see some roster changes before I start putting any of my money on this team. Then you got TL against EG. TL is looking so clean right now. I mean, they're just so veterans, right? It's just filled with the best players in many regions, and they're just crushing it. This team looks unstoppable. Now that Core JJ can play, I think he's been playing. I haven't really noticed the nameplates, because guess what? A-List just as good. He's been learning from him, so it's really impossible to have an advantage against this team when the roster lineups are being mixed and matched. So I think TL is going to take a lead over EG here, who's still trying to find their footing. Bjergsen's just too solid. Then you've got FlyQuest against Dignitas. FlyQuest has been a sleeper, and so has Dignitas, but these teams seem to struggle against the robustness of teams like Team Liquid and maybe even the Cloud9. So I think this could be a bit of a coin toss, but honestly, I think Dignitas has been really a team that has only taken down baddies, all right? If you take a look at who they've beaten, I believe it was like CLG, they beat IMT, they beat TSM, lost 100 Thieves, and now you're up against FlyQuest, who has a better record, or at least a similar record than you. So I think FlyQuest can actually usurp Dignitas. It is a telling match though. If Dignitas is able to win this, that's them clawing their way from the middle of the pack to saying we actually can contend with the best. If we can take down Fly, then maybe on a good day we can take down the likes of the Thieves, the Cloud9s, and maybe the EGs, and maybe the Team Liquids. Then to the last game of that day, CLG Cloud9. I mean, this one's a doozy. This one is going to be a real stomp. Cloud9 all the way. CLG needs a lot more work right now. It seems like the curse was not fully purged from last year. You know, they got rid of every player. They got rid of pretty much every staff member, I believe. Honestly, they might have even need to get rid of the maids that were cleaning the apartment. They need to just get rid of everything from this team and just start again. Honestly, you gotta get rid of the name. That's what I've been saying this whole time. You gotta get rid of the name, man. It just doesn't make sense when you keep calling yourself Counter Logic. Everyone keeps talking to yourself as if you are literally making Counter Logic moves. That will never win you games. I think until CLG gets the name changed, the golden age is not coming back, and that's gonna be a very long ways away because it seems like they love it for some reason. They think it's got brand power. No one cares. Look how quickly the TSM brand has died from their highs with Bjergsen to now you don't even know who's on the team. All right, second day of the week, Sunday. We've got IMT up against EG. I mean, maybe if IMT won the first game, but it's not going to be an impressive one against TSM. I still think EG all the way. The IMT from last week still has not changed my mind. They won that game, honestly, kind of by luck. They played a little bit better than usual. They are improving, but I still need to see assertiveness in coming up with a win, not that the enemy throws a punch and then they kind of stumble on themselves and then you take advantage of that. So that's a skill in and of itself, but I need to see more proactivity from IMT before I give them the benefit of the doubt. Then you've got FlyQuest against 100 Thieves. If 100 Thieves fumbled against Golden Guardians, this could very likely be an 0-2 week for the Thieves, so it is not a team to invest in right now. I do think the 100 Thieves are going to win this one, but FlyQuest has come up with some innovative strategies, and 100 Thieves threw against teams like IMT. They'll easily be able to throw against FlyQuest. I'm still going with the Thieves, but this one's a bit of a toss-up. This was like a 51-49% chance, all right? There is a world where this goes to a best of 3, best of 5 in a playoff scenario. FlyQuest could easily take them down. If Dignitas could do it, anybody can. Now well, except TSM and Counter Logic. Now we're going off to the third game of the day. It's going to be TSM against Cloud9. Cloud9 all the way. Cloud9 is such an easy strength of schedule this week. I mean, they've got TSM and CLG just rubbing it in the old guard of the teams, right? Cloud9's dynasty is really making sure that you know that they're the only ones that have consistently remained on top. C9 all the way for this matchup. Then Golden Guardians against Dignitas. Again, a bit of a toss-up. This is the week for Dignitas to prove themselves that they are better than middle of the pack, that they're at least the top of the middle of the pack, and then you can start contesting with the big boys at the top. This is a team that you don't want to invest in right now, though, because of that test, right? You don't want to put the money on the teams that are just being tested, because if they fail the test, and they could very easily or win or succeed, you're going to lose your money. So I do think Golden Guardians is still the better team here, but I'm going to stay away from this one. I'm not going to put money in either of these squads. And then last but not least, TL versus CLG. We just keep picking on CLG, but honestly, there's 9 teams in the league, 8 if you exclude TSM, and all of them could take these guys down right now. So it's going to be Team Liquid against CLG for the last game of the week. Now, who are the places, the teams, the players that you want to trust? Well, this week, it's not going to be a big bucks week. It's really not, because the odds of these bottom teams beating their strength of schedule is just too high. They're all against the top of the bracket. So you want to make sure that you put your money on the most certain team right now. And we're going to buy a little bit high. We're going to buy a little bit high, but don't you worry. It's not that high. It's the third team in the list. It's Cloud9, my pick of the week this time around. I think they have an easy 2-0. They might get confident and backfire, but I don't think so. I think this team is looking like they have exceeded the expectations of everybody. I thought they would take time to get good. Clearly, they've jumped that ship and have gone full steam ahead on the power boat all the way to the top. I think Cloud9 has CLG and TSM, the bottom 2 teams, 1836. Put your money right there, guys. You won't regret it. Until next week, this has been Crumbz.